and live for days like this. So shall I start, or would you like to start with the Ghanaian Times as well?
No, you have it your way.
Okay. You start then with the Ghanaian Times.
Okay, so that's fine. I'm starting with the Ghanaian Times. You see, you can't ignore me after all. So on the front page, at the extraordinary summit in Accra, restore democracy in 6 months. ECOWAS leaders order Guinea coup makers. And that story is in the center spread. So it says the Economic Community of West African States is giving the military junta in Guinea 6 months to restore constitutional rule to the country. This was contained in a communique issued at the end of yesterday's extraordinary summit of heads of states and government of the ECOWAS in Accra. So there are a number of things that they're talking about. The travel ban has also been imposed on the coup plotters, as well as their family members and supporters, with the financial assets of members of the junta frozen. President of the ECOWAS Commission, Jean-Claude Kissibru, told the media after the summit that the decisions of the ECOWAS authority would be communicated officially to the military rulers today. Okay, so there's some more stories. 5 arrested in connection with recruitment fraud. That's where it's on page 3. The Volta Regional Police Command has arrested 5 persons for their involvement in recruitment fraud at Akachi and Sogakopa in the Volta region. So the people said to have impersonated or set up a Facebook account in the name of one of the top officers in the police. So they created the account in the name of the Regional Police Commander, Deputy Commissioner of Police, Edward Udru Kwatings. So supposed to be advertising to assist potential applicants for enlistment into the Ghana Police Service, and the police has grabbed them. So, well, the 5 of you, your names are Amenya Bernard, 18 years, really? Ajika Godsway, 23, and Vomaga Godson, 21. They were arrested at Akachi, and then Francis Abad, 22, and Godfred Wozuame, 21. They were grabbed at Sogakope. So you're on your own, guys. So also, alleged serial killings by taxi driver, fresh evidence emerges, and a man grabbed for allegedly stealing taxi. Then in Africa news, police beat journalists fire tear gas during Congo election protests. Head of IS in Sahara killed by French troops. 1 million Nigerian children to miss school because of a series of mass kidnappings. It's so unfortunate that this thing, Nigeria hasn't been able to deal with this problem, the Boko Haram problem. U.S. General Defense secret phone calls with China. Hezbollah brings Iranian fuel into Lebanon. That must be welcoming. China denounces U.S., UK, Australia pact as damaging. And on page 7, Greater Accra Regional Minister supports TT with 1,500 cedis monthly stipend. So Sam Ajetefio is, he used to be, well, he's an actor. He used to play in the popular series Taxi Driver. He was a taxi driver in that. And he's having some issues with finances. And so we had the vice president pay, 50,000 cedis to get him to sort out his rent. And then we're having the Greater Accra Regional Minister also supporting him. But it brings up this issue of, the people who are into acting, the actors and actresses, especially the old ones.
Yeah.
When
they retire.
Yeah, when they retire or we no longer find use for them, then they run into difficulties and they become paupers. But you're wondering what was happening to all the money they were making when they were a lot younger or in the prime of their lives. Journalists schooled on gender-based violence reportage. Then work on 39.3 kilometer Isikuma Harbour Road begins. Plan access roads to residential commercial facilities. That's Interior Minister saying that. PNC infighting ugly, disturbing. That's Bernard Mona, a former chairman of the People's National Convention, saying that. Then we move to page 12. Mahama, perception of hardships, not creation of NDC. And entrenched politicization of national issues threat to democracy. That's a Peace Council saying that. 2 NGOs sign MOU to empower vulnerable groups. And on page 15, we're being urged to patronize museums and monuments to boost tourism. And the minority is questioning 6.8 million CD bailing of colleges of education for free Wi-Fi. It's an interesting story. The minority in Parliament has questioned a directive from the Ministry of Education to the 46 colleges of education to pay 6.8 million CDs for Wi-Fi service. So in a letter available to the Ghanaian Times, the Sector Minister, Dr. Yao Educhum, asked the Ghana Tertiary Education Commission, GTEC, to facilitate the payment of the amount to internet service provider Busy Internet following a review of the contract of the provision of internet service to the pre-tertiary schools. So according to the letter, the decision had become necessary because the free Wi-Fi initiative was overburdening the funding for the free SHS. Okay, so here's a case where the colleges of education were giving free Wi-Fi by government, and then government now says, okay, we can't give you free Wi-Fi anymore.
Nah.
So pay 6.8
million CDs.
So the minority, in a statement questioning the decision of the government, Dr. Clement Park, he's a deputy ranking member on the Education Committee, and he said there was no justification for the directive because they were not a party to the contract. So you've signed a contract with Busy Internet provide Wi-Fi, and then you can't pay. Then you're bringing in the colleges of education to come pay. No MOUs were signed between the colleges and Busy Internet. No official discussion was held with principals of the colleges of education, nor their national executives, on what the provision of free Wi-Fi connectivity, and even GTEC was not aware of the facility and the terms of agreement. Essentially, right? I mean, it makes sense if they were not party to it. Maybe government should waive this one or pick up this bill and say subsequently, you know, let's have an arrangement where you pay for the Wi-Fi. That is if you're interested, or you can. You have the funds to support that. We'll open borders if Ghana achieves 20 million COVID-19 vaccination target. That's the Interior Minister saying that. So you know the land borders have been closed for a long time because of COVID-19, and the communities are complaining that they do a lot of business, cross-border business.
Of course.
But as it stands now, they're unable to do that, and it's collapsing their economies. So they want them open. Well, the Interior Minister says, wait, if Ghana achieves 20 million COVID-19 vaccination target, then we'll open. No, that's like, yeah, it's going to take a while.
It's going to take a while.
Yeah. All right, 7,000 Ivorian refugees to receive legal status by 2022. And 100 best girls in Western North region receive laptops. Okay, that's good. Getting laptops, that's awesome. Cattle crossing major roads unacceptable, Dr. Peku. Cattle shouldn't be crossing roads in the city. Really?
Cattle, sheep, goats, all sorts. They just, I mean, you just park and wait for them to kind of just go. Yeah. It's interesting, isn't it? Yeah.
NMC commits to protecting rights, safety of journalists. That's Boedu Ayubafu, the chairman of the National Media Commission. Malcolm introduces clothing line onto market. That's interesting.
Interesting, yeah.
Yeah. Malcolm seems to be, you know,
doing the most.
Yeah. And asserting themselves and making it clear that they are the retailer of choice.
Yes, indeed.
Offering so many options to the people, the customers. All right, let Ephraim Amu's musical composition stimulate sense of patriotism. Greta Lord's Lakeside Estate for helping bridge housing deficit. Ghana's economy expands 3.9% in second quarter of 2021. Tallow oil records profit after tax of $96 million in half year. That's good. Take advantage of pre-harvest agribusiness exhibition and conference to strike new deals. And the private sector can drive Ghana's economic recovery efforts. The trade minister saying that. And spare Ashanti Gold Inter Allies scandalous game. Spare no one. That's the GFA saying that. And Nadal faces difficult foot injury recovery. Messi quiets in PSG draw as Man City, Liverpool win thrillers. So, yeah, they're saying Messi. Okay. England's men's team move up to third in FIFA rankings. And what else do we have? Back page, encroaches on Peishi wetland to suffer demolition after September 30 and flooding cut off Saboba from rest of the country. I'm done.
All right, okay. Well, going straight into the Daily Graphic this morning, and of course, as expected, the headline protects democratic values. President.
Did you say how many minutes?
No, today I'm being good.
Okay.
At least for now.
Okay.
President urges ECOWAS leaders. NMC moves to halt impunity against the media. ECOWAS places travel ban on Guinea military. That story we've talked about, and we will be going into more details a little later on in the show. So, okay, a quick recap of everything that's going on in the Daily Graphic. Africa vaccine hub to replicate Moderna shot. There's an opinion piece. What a month, August 2021. Yeah, it was quite eventful. Let's review removal of MMDCEs. Dr. Fiadomo. Stakeholders deliberate on review of gender policy. Asula tours GIFEC projects in Western North. Can Frimpong plot hearts fall. Security beefed up at KNUST. Vigilance at sea. Maritime watchdog scares of pirates. So that seems interesting. Okay, so on page 3 is the story proper of the ECOWAS extraordinary meeting that happened yesterday. So if you'd like details, Africa vaccine hub to replicate Moderna shot. So that's what we're going to do. And let's enforce the outcomes of ECOWAS meetings. Of course, we can sit down and talk. But if we're not going to enforce, then just wasting everybody's time, really. Global COVID-19 cases have dropped. The prevalence in the US is still high, though. That's good news. So global COVID-19 cases saw their first substantial decline in more than 2 months last week. That's according to the World Health Organization. But cases in the United States continue to remain highly elevated, particularly among children, according to a separate pediatric report. Oh, okay. German experts support Ghana to genome sequence virus variants, and more AstraZeneca vaccines have arrived. So we've received 98,400 doses of the AstraZeneca vaccine donated by Norway through the COVAX facility. NMC moves to halt impunity against media. Security beefed up at KNUST. Census spread project to combat child labor in agricultural sector launched. So a project to combat child labor in the agricultural sector value chain was launched in Accra yesterday. Now, this initiative is intended to complement the government's efforts to eradicate child labor, which is manifested in the form of forced labor. So we're doing that as well. Stakeholders deliberate on review of gender policy. Okay, so what we want to do is review and update the national gender policy. This is being led by the Ministry of Gender, Children and Social Protection. And it's because really the current one has expired. So the current gender policy was a 5-year one from 2015 to 2020, and it has expired. Now, the participants discussed fine-tuning the expired policy and a strategic implementation plan to respond better to emerging and persisting gender inequality and equity issues. So let's review removal of MMDCEs. That's Dr. Fiadomo. We must preserve democracy. That's Mr. Francis Xavier Susu, MP for Medina. ECOWAS places travel ban on military junta. I brought you that already. Achimoda Central Market will be rebuilt. That's according to the regional minister. Okay. Governing councils of GIS and Fire inaugurated. Bring your expertise to bear on Metro Mass Transit. Transport Minister charges boss. And the Maritime Watchdog scares of pirates. So the vigilance of the Multinational Maritime Coordinating Center has scared away activities of more than 16 vessels on the Gulf of Guinea suspected to be pirates. Interesting one there. Tourism for inclusive development. The Graphic Traveler. Oh, I love that. So the Graphic has like a travel page. I think it's on Fridays. So I haven't seen it this whole week. But anyway, and it's talking about, how we can use tourism for development, the picture of waterfalls. Okay, interesting. You can grab the daily graphic if you want more details on that. Frimpong plots Hearts Fall. Former Asante Kotoko skipper Amos Frimpong is expected to inspire his Guinean club CI Kamsa to defeat Accra Hearts of Oak when they clash in a preliminary round duel of the CAF Champions League at the Accra Sports Stadium on Sunday. Oh, that should be interesting. Final stories on the back page. Ghana card to replace NHIS cards in December. And Accra Tema Beach Road reconstruction progresses. That's it for the daily graphic.
Right, let's go to the Finder. And immigration deported 271 foreigners in 2020. Nationals of 22 countries affected. Redefine red line corporate governance. Nano Tools report. The second, report indicts radio and TV stations for interviewing fewer female experts, which is a story I'd like us to get into. So essentially, they're saying that the TV and radio stations interviewed fewer female experts, but anyway, I believe it stands to reason that we have less women if you compare the ratio of men who are employed in formal roles. You compare that to women. We have.
Charlie, this thing.
Yeah.
All the analysis for me doesn't work. Okay. The women don't like to talk.
No, even before we get to that. So that's one of the reasons.
Fundamentally, Israel, even if we have just 3 women in the whole of Ghana who can talk or are capable of talking, chances are 2 out of those 3 women won't want to talk.
I agree.
I have seen over and over again producers, on the Super Morning Show, on Newsfile, even my show, trying to get women to come up and have no, we don't want to talk.
You mean even for strong and sexy?
Yes, even for strong, we don't want to talk. We don't want to talk about our relationships. We don't want to talk about our lives. I'll be putting the kids to bed at that time. No, I don't want to do this. No, but the politics is too much. No, but there's always one reason or the other. So I love a report like this, and it's true because we don't feature women as much, especially on some topics.
Okay.
But the truth is that women don't like to talk about some things. I'm guilty of it. Sometimes there are conversations that may be going on the morning show, and I'd rather just sit it out because I'm just like, this is like a boys' club conversation. You all have your conversation, whatever. We women are still going to do what we want to do, regardless of what you all are saying. But that's the thing, though, until it actually came to my attention that we cannot be quiet. We cannot be quiet. We have to weigh in. And the thing is, Israel, this is something that you won't understand just because you're not a woman.
All right.
The thing is that, when a woman has a seat at a table, she has to bring so much more than the average man to gain the respect of the people that are listening to her, who are watching it.
It's true.
And sometimes it's unnecessary pressure. You're like, look, I don't need to prove myself, so I'd rather just not say anything and do what I can in my corner. Because every time you come to the table, you're going to be judged. You're going to be expected to be better. You're going to be expected to have a certain hairstyle. You're going to be expected to not dress a certain way. You're going to be expected to not have pierced your nose or your ears. There's so many things that factor in with just one conversation that you're coming to have. Meanwhile, nobody cares that the guy who's sitting next to you, half of his hair is bald. He had a bad haircut. He's been sleeping with 6 university students. Like, nobody cares about that. But when it comes to women, in a simple conversation, everything that you are and everything that you do has to come to the forefront. I remember I was speaking to Zanetta Rawlings at one of the She Boss events, and she talked about the fact that sometimes people are just so unnecessarily cruel to women and just bring in things that don't matter. So if, for example, I was here to talk about anything, maybe I have an opinion, I'm a strong woman about something. Oh, no, but she's divorced. That's why she's like that. Oh, but she's this. Oh, but she's that. And yet we have, high-ranking officials who are in their 2nd and 3rd marriages, and nobody says anything about it.
Okay. What can I do about it?
I feel like you can buy me coffee. That's what you can do about it. I feel like I've had a good, so I hope that the finder, the report is comprehensive. Let me look at it very well.
Oh.
Okay.
It said what he has to say, and that's it.
Yo, we've heard.
Looks like you've been meaning to rant about this for a while.
I mean, I haven't, I've said it so many times. It's very, very frustrating.
So the question I'm asking is, what can I do about the situation?
I think that it's important that...
Not the coffee bit.
Yeah, I know. I think that it's important that listeners or people who are watching, people keep the main thing the main thing. When a woman comes on TV or radio to talk about health or to talk about banking or business or politics, it's not about whether she has children or not, or whether she's divorced or not, or whether she can't find a husband or not, or whether you heard that she was sleeping with this, that, and the other.
Who says so? Because yesterday we had 2 women join us for a conversation on cancer. And who has said anything about that?
No, of course, that was a very nice, soft advocacy conversation. And when it comes to the nice, soft advocacy conversations, no one is going to attack you. But if we were sitting here having a conversation about something that would be, what's the word? Exactly, controversial. Then you would see how, if you go, for example, and I use Zaneto as a perfect example, if you go on her Facebook page or her Instagram page, sometimes she posts something about development in her area. And the comments are about the fact that you go and get married and you're walking around and you've done yourself stiff like this and you've done that. And what does that have to do with the price of milk?
Limited to just women? Because on social
it's very
media,
limited.
It's a free for all. I post COVID-19 updates and people come at me.
Yeah, but it's much more with what do they come at you for though?
I say all sort of silly things.
Like?
Yeah, like I've been paid to come and post COVID-19.
I mean, have you been paid to come? If you're an ambassador and you're being paid, you're an ambassador and you're being paid.
Hey.
Yeah, but nobody is saying that, well, instead of you to go and think about finding a wife, you're here posting about COVID-19. Or you've had children with 2 men and now you're coming to...
Why did I decide to review this story?
Well, because I think it's important. The double standards of our society. I get so annoyed. There are things that men do that they get away with. And when women do even half of that, they're like marginalized forever and judged forever. I will never forget Otiko Jabe's vetting, how a part of it became about her hairstyle. So what if the woman wants to shave 2 sides of her head and leave the middle? Like, what does that have to do with her ability? Does anybody question why you've used Adama to shape the front of your head? Like, you're going bald and you've put black hair dye and you've shaped the black hair dye, but in your vetting, nobody asks you about that. How about we do that then? Let's ask why you're not accepting your baldness, but you want to have a 10-minute conversation on somebody's hairstyle.
The review of the Finder's review has taken us, what, 5 minutes?
Anyway, on the front page of the Daily Guide this morning, Mahama attacks EC boss again. Let's be firm on Guinea crisis, that's according to Nana. And AG decries lawyers' judiciary attacks. I'm even hungry at this point. Okay. International stories quickly. COVID-19. France suspends 3,000 unvaccinated health workers. Somali president cuts PM's power as rift widens. North Korea fires 2 ballistic missiles days after testing weapon of great significance. An ex-Kenya sports minister sentenced over Rio 2016 scandal. Entertainment. Give women more top roles in hospitality and tourism industry. That's according to Jael Ajay. World brand Giordano. Oh, okay. Now in Ghana, minister donates 1,500 of his salary to Salm Ajay Tefio. I think that's about it. For the Daily Guide, so that we can make room to... Oh, 1 second. Let me just read my horoscope. Okay. Creative arts industry needs investment. That's according to Abina Morgan. Yeah, okay. Back page. Milo begins Stars job next week with 2 Ghanaian assistants. Fans back biennial World Cup, FIFA survey says. And James loses CL Euro 2020 medals. Kosua salutes Safa for FIFA Club's World Cup bid. That's it.
Right, and on the front page of the BNFT, SNIT pays 1.8 billion cedis in half-year pension benefits. Economic structure undergoing reset, NDPC boss. Guba premieres 2021 awards to celebrate the century of Yahya Santua's resilience. NHIA to phase out NHIS cards by 2022. Subscribers will be linked to Ghana Card. And Trips goes live to offer convenient mobility services. Shall we get to My Joy Online?
Yes,
now?
please. Let's do that. MyJoyOnline.com this morning. Guinea coup. ECOWAS gives military rulers 6 months to return country to constitutional order. Other stories on My Joy Online. Can we scroll down? Thank you. So-called experts who told voters to ignore statistics in 2016, now in government, holding up economic figures. That's going into Mahama. September 21st, Kwame Nkrumah Memorial Day declared a public holiday. Name and shame officials involved in WASI leakages. Nochu Kote tells WAEC. Heavy security deployed to KNUST campus. So obviously, we did that story yesterday. Itina Traditional Council gives Elmina Fishing Harbour site squatters 2 weeks to vacate, and 11 SHS put under surveillance on suspicion of exam malpractice, according to WAEC. And of course, there's a lot more news on myjoyonline.com. You can head there this morning. There's business, entertainment, opinion, sports, and you can also listen to radio and potentially watch TV. But we have a really exciting show for you, Israel. Do you want to just quickly take the run through?
The issue of the ECOWAS Extraordinary Summit in Accra and what the ultimatum giving to the military junta in Guinea is going to be one of the main issues we're going to be having a conversation about. So they're told to restore democracy in 6 months, and they're likely to face travel. They're facing a travel ban and some other sanctions.
The assets have been frozen.
The assets have been frozen.
Yeah.
But we'll look into the implications of that. What does it mean? And will these sanctions bite at all? And how is the military junta reacting to all of that? That's a conversation we're going to be having with the experts. That's one of the things. And then we'll also be talking about Moments with Joy. It's an exciting thing happening.
It is, getting to know your favorite presenters and, all of that, getting live and interactive.
So we're starting with Emefa
Adeti, yeah. She's the host of Joy Prime Morning. So she'll be doing that at 2 p.m. today. But KMJ will be joining us, and he's the host.
She will. And then at some point, Enumatu will be featured. And then you can ask her all the questions. You can ask her why she's always on my case. I really don't mind she being on my case.
Exactly. So are you complaining or are you...
I'm not complaining. I'm just saying that there are people out there who are wondering why you're always on my case.
Well, who else will be on your case? Your life has been too easy up until now. So we have to make you suffer and pay for, having hot water flowing out of your tap and all of that. Yes, okay, so this is still the AM show. My name is Enima Animado, and I'm doing this with Israel Lai, and it's a privilege, of course, to be working with Israel Lai. Anyways, we're going to go for some sports. Oreko Ampofo brings us sports, and when we come back, and we'll get into all our conversations, and we'll have fun. We have a few games coming up as well, so we'll tell you about that. It's Friday, so we're just chilling, having a good time here, so don't go anywhere.
Yeah.